What's going on, everybody in the chats? It is Sunday. It's 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern. This is the weekly walk-off. Myself, Eric, Nate are here talking some baseball, talking some Sorare. We're going to get Nate off on time today for the Sox Sunday night baseball game. No predictions needed on that one. I may be the a-hole and go with the Mets, but
keep it fun.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's talk some baseball, man. How you doing, Nate?
Good, man. Good to be back in my regular spot here. Got another good lineup going this week, and excited to jump into it again.
Nate on fire as usual. Hasn't slowed down a bit. I'm looking all right this week. Also got a couple spicy lineups with some players left to play. Good afternoon, Miguel. Welcome into the chat. Let us know how you're doing this week in Sorare. Let us know what you're watching on in baseball this week in general, and we can bring it up as points of conversation here on the show. As always, kind of like to just do a little bit of baseball talk to warm things up, and then go into the Sorare market, go into the lineups, kind of as we see fit here. But man, it's been a pretty crazy week in baseball, I think. I mean, it's been a crazy season, but we are 1 week away from the trade deadline, so we'll make sure to talk about how some of that's going to affect the Sorare teams that you have. Some injuries this week, nothing major, but definitely some big injuries, and some big time, divisional games too. So, Nate, what have you been watching this week? I just noticed that the Orioles completed the sweep of the Rays today, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah, impressive. Haven't watched a ton of baseball this week. Been keeping tabs on the Sox Mets this weekend. But yeah, I mean, the story this week has been Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman's the top hitting scorer in Sorare this week, and I had him in a lineup. So been watching that tick up throughout the 3 days.
You gotta love having that top dog in your top priority lineup. There's nothing better than that. I mean, that puts a smile to your face. Your lineup is crazy, by the way. I mean, Kyle Tucker's having himself a week too.
Yeah, it's those two that have really set this lineup apart this week for sure.
No doubt. Paul, thanks for stopping by, Huds Dog. We appreciate you always. Check it out later. If you're in the chat, hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Our social links are in the description too. With that said, I also had the top scorer in my lineup last week who made the thumbnail this week, Austin Riley. 111 points for me. You love to see that. Shout out to him. He won me $1 on the Sandlot lineup. I mean, I wasn't quite playing him yet because he hadn't heated up. But man, he's been on an absolute tear.
It's just wild when you see a guy clear triple digits. Like, it's just that guy on his own cashes you as long as you didn't get zeros across the board. It's just a total game changer.
100%. 100%. I went with the Braves. I went with the Braves stack this week, and I was telling you that I regret it slightly. The All-Star, the rare All-Star, you really just have to catch a nice stack for me, especially when I'm mixing in like lower tier rare cards with the limited cards of the higher tier players. So, I mean, Ozuna, Murphy didn't do much for me this week. But, Olsen didn't really do much either, to be honest. So you kind of catch lightning in a bottle there every once in a while. I think, to be honest, if I would have played the Blue Jays stack, which I did like against Seattle, that would have probably fared me a little bit better, even maybe yielded reward on that rare contest, because Brandon Belt has 50 points. Yeah, they've been hitting him third against righties. Varsho, I mean, like, all good pitchers in Seattle this week, but all righties. So we were talking about that in the Discord, where it's like, somebody was, I don't know if I'm going to start Vladdy, but Vladdy's hot, so you go Vladdy. Those guys can hit anybody. Doesn't really matter. A guy like, Logan Gilbert can get touched up by Vladdy. A guy like Brian Wu definitely can. So it's been not too bad of a week. I'm
curious for anybody that's in the stream right now. Can chime in as well, but it's something that we talk about a lot, which is just the mindset, the strategy that goes into setting those lineups, because a lot of us at this point have enough cards where there is some thought going into, do I split up a stack? Do I keep it together? Do I start the cold guy in a stack, and why is it that I'm adding, certain guys for certain teams? So to me, the Red Sox, I don't have a good middle infielder. Who do I funnel in from there? The Rangers, I've got two of the most useful middle infielders that I own in Semien and Seager, and we'll talk about Seager's injury as well. But do I keep them together? Do I spread them out so that I have a good middle infielder everywhere? Bo Bichette is terrible right now. Do you still play a guy like that because of his caliber? So it's that's the fun of it. That's the fun of it, is to have enough of a collection that you're having particular reasons why you're doing certain things, and can't always get it right. But you want there to be some rationale behind what you're doing, even if it's lower upside or higher upside. There's no right or wrong. You just want there to be some substance behind it.
For sure. I mean, and then you kick yourself if you make the wrong choice, right? We were talking about this earlier off stream, and it's like, apparently Ace has the same struggle, as do I. I mean, like I've had Seager. He went out, didn't sell him, kept him. Now potentially a good time to buy Seager. Medic says it's all about the numbers and the matchups for sure. Contrary to that point though, is what we were talking about. It's like, even though Bo's cold, right? Do I split him up with Vladdy? If those are my two bangers in that lineup, Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor, the exact same thing. Why do I play Pete Alonso with a Bo Bichette and a Vladdy with a Lindor, when you can couple them together and then have one good inning make your whole entire week, just like your week with the Red Sox this time around? So it's really tough. Of course, you want to be playing all the guys, but when you build a stack, you build it for a reason. You don't build it to split it up. So
to me, it's kind of like you've got different tiers of player, obviously. And so when you take a guy like Freddie Freeman, let's say, right? If he has a really bad matchup, but he's red hot the way that he is right now, I'm still putting him in my priority lineup, because to me, there's an invert. Like, yes, pitching dominates in baseball. So if he's facing a bunch of aces, that's one thing. But like, I simply am not going to bench a guy that regularly is getting you 50 points in a game week, right? Even in a really bad matchup. It only takes one good game for him to at least raise that floor to something valuable. So It's so tough to push a guy down like that. And then when it's somebody of maybe a lower quality, like say a Jeremy Pena, I decide what I was going to do with him this game week against Oakland. It's a juicy matchup. You're like, this is where you want to be starting your Houston players, but he's been horrible. And so I kept Tucker by himself, put him in my priority lineup, pushed Pena down, and Tucker has had a massive game week. And I don't think Pena's done much of anything because he's just cold right now. So you got to know where a player is at. The matchups matter, the numbers matter, but if a player is red hot or ice cold, that matters just as much.
For sure. Yeah, no, I agree. That's a really good example right there. But I would say this, like, my question, as you were kind of bringing that up from your very first point with Freddie Freeman, is like, what if you had a guy on the Dodgers that wasn't so hot, that you knew Freddie Freeman was hot and it was a nice matchup, right? Like, trying to think, I mean, like, it's hard to use Mookie as an example.
Yeah, like JD Martinez.
Like maybe JD, but JD's been pretty solid across the board this season too, as has like Muncy went crazy. I decided I put a Dodgers stack together for a training lineup, and like, goodness, I should have just played that thing.
Yeah.
I was like, let's train up. I was like, let's get some XP for Jordan. He's coming back soon. Let's get this guy some hot XP. And of course, I threw Muncy in there, JD in there, Mookie in there, and that thing, 250-point training lineup with the 0 from Jordan, and and that's how it goes. But like that's one of the things too. It's like, for me, that example, right, is Seager and Nathaniel Lowe. So it's really kind of, I've shot myself in the foot by splitting them apart at times. Sometimes Lowe actually has a better week than Seager this week and last week, definitely. And just think about it. It's like, wow, that little mini 2-person stack, just throwing them in the utility with another stack in the middle, in the heart of the order, like it could make a big difference. So still tough.
Speaking of stacks, and I was just saying this to you just before we went live, but so I've got, and this is not like my best lineup this week is a different lineup, but
you want me to throw your screen up there?
Actually, yeah, you can toss it up. So my really strong lineup is limited AL right here, 276, 22nd place. I've been as high as second place, but should end up with a nice little T2 there.
Limited All-Star.
Yeah, did I say it wrong?
You said limited AL, but yeah.
Oh yeah, limited All-Star. So hopefully get a few more points from Tucker, but should get a nice T2 on that. But what I was going to speak on is this limited AL. So I've got Devers, Yoshida, Turner, Duran. Of course, I left Casas in my Sandlot lineup, which hopefully will grab me $3 in ETH. But last night I saw in one inning, Jarren Duran walked, then he stole second. So that's 2 + 5. Then he gets singled in by Yoshida. So that's another 3 for the run, 3 for the rib, 2 for the hit. Yoshida steals second. That's another 5. Then Turner hits a 2-run bomb. He gets double points for the RBI and the run on Yoshida. And then Devers comes in and walks. Yep. And so just like that, it's like 40 points added to this lineup, all in a span of 5-10 minutes. And so that is the exact type. Now, this lineup is not going to podium. If I get some good points tonight, hopefully I'll be able to grab like a T4 or a T5, sneak back into the money. But it was just a really cool thing to watch play out as I was watching the inning, like 5 points, 2 points, 6 points, 8 points, and all of a sudden I went from 90 to like 138 or something like that. So that is the exact lightning that you're trying to catch. And if you get a few of those innings in a game week, and all of a sudden you have a lineup that cashes. So it doesn't always work that way, but that's what you're after.
There we go. Exactly. That's a perfect example. Boom or bust. I like the example here too, on the stack too. Naylor and Ramirez is another one too. Like, just right in line with like Seager and Lowe for me. Medic, that's a good example for sure. Take a look at what we got going here, man. I wish I could, Bo Bichette. I think the AL NL lineups are the perfect places to throw stacks in, to be honest.
100%. That's where
that is, just purely because of the low quantity of rewards, right? What's a tier 3, top 20?
Top 65, I think.
Top 65 in an AL? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So the rare would be a top 20. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So you're right. Yeah. Top 65 out of 1,200. So you're really shooting for the moon. Like in some of my lineups, I could care less if I come in last place.
But still, on average, I've noticed you only need about 215 points, 220 points to get that tier 3. So it's fairly achievable.
Yep. There we go. DJ Local in the chat nailed his middle infield. Corner infield was tougher this week. Shout out DJ Local, first podium last week. I think it was after the live stream that we had, but big shout out. Congratulations.
Congrats. That's got to be a good feeling.
Epic. Can't wait. Let me see here. What else do we got? Let's take a look at, I guess, I could throw my screen on the board. See what we got cooking up here. I was talking to you about this one right here. Okay, so one of the Sorare strategies. Well, let's talk a little bit of Sorare for a little bit more. We'll pop into, like the power rankings in the MLB, and then we can kind of break it out into the show with game week 34, 35. Is it 33, 34?
I think
33, 34.
33. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 33, 34. If that's cool with everybody, but I keep on going back to when Clamp came on, brought on the example of you never play Teoscar until he's hot. Like, he is not going in any lineup until he is hot because he's the streakiest player ever. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of ringing true with everybody for me at this point. Like, guys like Rizzo, who has been ice cold, right? Like I bought him as one of my bats in my lineup. I am no longer trying to catch somebody's best game as an outlier that nobody else is going to play. It just hasn't worked. It kills your lineups more often than it helps them out. So, low priority lineups for those type of guys, higher priority lineups for guys who have been hot. So, I mean, Murphy's been playing pretty well. Olsen obviously has been on a tear, and this is a lineup that I liked on a stack. This is my all-star lineup this week. 108 points is pathetic, but I mean, yeah, I had Riley in the right place. Okay. Will Smith, he got all 3 games this weekend, even as a catcher. A lineup that I almost cashed in on last game week in the 4-game series was what little the part of the contrarian thinking was like, nobody's going to play 3 catchers, right? So I put in 3 catchers that can hit. Will Smith got me 51. Murphy, I think, had a good game week. Real Muto had a good game week. So, you're not going to see a lineup like that. It's going to be a little bit more unique of a lineup. So I was like, why not, man? Let's get that lineup in there and see where it lands up. And it ended up just super, super close to yielding a rare. So, I found it a little bit harder to yield rares because of, I don't know, when Clamp came on, he's like, yeah, it's a little bit easier just because there's less people, but it's a harder because a lot of those people who are yielding are still playing the Acuñas. The Acuña rares still exist.
Yep.
The Ohtani rares still exist. The big boppers still exist in those tiers, and I just don't have them. So all those lineups that I'm setting there are more unique, more high upside, and it's worked out all right. So, man, if Bo or Vladdy or Teoscar can get a home run, we're looking nice right here. I'm in the T5 zone by 1, I think, and it'd be nice to get a T4 because sometimes those T5s, T4s can be great. I sold a Fujinami that I won as a T4 for $5. Or T4 or T5. I forget what it was. And it sold pretty much immediately too, because there's none on the market.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that yield for sure.
I think that, like what you just said, and this is something I've said before, but to me, this format, the way that Sorare is built, it behooves you to just play in the arena where you can work towards getting the best possible guys, which is why, like, I won that Perdomo middle infielder rare a couple weeks ago. And it's like, do I go just round it out with 3 $30 rares that I can, at least put out a rare all-star lineup? But that's $100 that could buy me like 3 studs in limited. And to me, that's just much more likely to result in yielding. So it's tempting to play more lineups. It's tempting to submit more lottery tickets, if you want to think of it like that. But to me, it's like taking that money that would go into a rare lineup that's fieldable. I'd rather take that and put it into some more stud players that, maybe I just go buy a Mookie, a Mookie middle infield, go win one of those auctions for $130 rather than buying 3 meh rare cards. So I want those cards that move the needle. And as we know, it's, you can win with middle tier and proper stacks, but at the end of the day, the way to consistently yield in Sorare is that you need high floor production.
Right.
Sometimes you'll get lucky and the high floor turns into a high ceiling. But if you don't have that high floor, then you're just not going to be in the mix regularly. And if you're not in the mix, then you don't have the chance for it to really blow up.
Right. If you're strategic about it, that's one thing, right? Setting the same lineup every week. We talked about that, right? Like, are the Mariners going to go off every once in a while? Can you buy Cal Raleigh for $9 in rare, set him in your lineup, and he can have an incredible week alongside a guy like Ty France for 25 and, maybe a $10 common Teoscar, a $10 common, whoever it may be, right? Like, you're going to hit, in the right situation, which is great. But a lot of times they're just not going to be usable. It's going to be burning a hole, in your wallet. But at the same time, I don't know if I would go and, like just get rid of a guy like Perdomo for nothing. Like, did you have him in your Sandlot lineup?
Yeah, I did. That's where I've been playing him.
Yeah. So perfect. He may become valuable at some point. I've
Yeah.
shot myself in the foot a couple of times just trying to fire off cards, and it wasn't the right time just for liquidity and just to go buy something else. But
Yeah.
especially,
I've had him listed all along, but I'm not one to fire sell. So like
right.
if he doesn't sell, then he doesn't sell, and I'll keep using him. And it's all. I'm never trying to just like insanely undercut the floor. If somebody wants to buy it relatively close to where he's been going, cool. And if not, then find uses for him and maybe at some point start playing one of those rare all-star lineups.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, there's people out there with huge limited galleries, and it's a great, potential trade too.
Yeah.
People look to move from limited to rare certain times. Like you could get rid of a Perdomo for, somebody who's trying to kind of set that, maybe they have the Corbin Carroll limited that they're trying to get and a Christian Walker limited, and they're trying to get a Diamondback stack going just to play that style. Maybe you pull somebody like a Bregman for it, or a Bregman and a Romano. Like I knew you needed a closer at one point. So if you can put pieces together that you're going to have, that's not a bad option, but it's fun.
For sure.
Let's look at these power rankings, and we'll go into some matchups for game week 33 and 34. This is fun. I had fun doing it last time with Talking Baseball's graphic on the trade. So this is just ESPN's power rankings. I also listen to the Barstool Baseball power rankings all the time. That's like one of my favorite shows to listen to. A lot of love for my Giants last week. Probably won't be so much this week after getting swept by the Nats, but had a little bit of a hot streak going. Medic says that last offseason market prices dropped for sure. Just like basketball, prices will drop. There'll be times to buy, so keep your eye out there. But Braves at the top had a big win today. Ozzie Albies 3-run homer in the 9th. Could have even taken it. Did you play Devin Williams in a high priority lineup this week?
I think that I went lower with him
because of Braves.
Yeah. Which is, I feel like every week I have an entirely new mindset on relievers, but we'll continue this conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I would have done this. I had Camilo Doval as my top priority lineup this week, and we lost to the Nats. Yep. So the Braves look good. Definitely the number one team. Here's where it gets murky. 2 is the Rays. The Orioles, I think, passed him out. Let me see here.
Yeah, the Orioles are 2 games up.
2 games up after the sweep. Wow. Craziness. Sox still hanging in there.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at?
We were temporarily out of the basement for like 2 days.
Yeah, the Yankees are down there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. The Rays at 2, Rangers at 3, Baltimore at 4. Happy to kind of swing in any like so rare stuff as we go along here, because I know like the audience is into it. The Texas Rangers, I mean, good time to talk about Seager getting hurt.
Yeah, I mean, Seager out for somewhere around 2 weeks, sprained thumb or something like that. Adolis Garcia also got hit on Wednesday in the forearm, removed from the game, came back, played on Friday, played on Saturday, got hit in the hand with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, got pulled. X-rays came back negative again. So hit twice in the span of 4 days, both led to having him come out. But yeah, that it's hopefully Adolis is fine, but Seager out for a couple weeks. Hopefully that thumb, you always got to worry about hands, thumbs, wrists on a hitter. You never know what's going to sap power. And he's the best hitter in that lineup. I mean, Yes, Adolis has the power, but all around hitter. I think that by the end of this weekend, Seager was about to have enough ABs to be eligible for the batting title, which you haven't seen him show up on any of the graphics for the AL yet, but he's been the AL leader in batting average all season. He just didn't have the at-bats for it yet. So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he's batting like 340 right now, and I think the leader's at like 317, and because he was injured for the first month, he wasn't eligible yet. So that guy is a serious bat. It's a big loss. We know that Texas has okay pitching, not the best pitching. So it's fragile. These are the types of things that can drastically change a 2-week span for a team. So hopefully Adolis back in a matter of a couple games. But if you lose him for a week and Seager's out for 2, and all of a sudden that's a whole lot of the run production that's just not there.
It is.
It's an intriguing one.
It is. Complement that with, DJ Local down there. Jordan may be back Monday.
Yep.
The division rival right on your heels. I mean, hopefully they can take care of business against the A's. I don't know what the score is now, but, make a good point there. I mean, last time Seager went out, the Rangers were just fine.
Yep.
They're pretty deep. Who does that bring in? Ezekiel Duran at short.
Yep.
More playing time for their outfielders out there, Tavares.
But also when he was out to start the season, Semien was the hottest hitter in baseball, arguably. Yep. He's significantly cooled off as of late. Still contributing, but not where he was. Although Nathaniel Lowe looking real good right now. So they certainly are still a great team, top to bottom, but tough to have some issues in the middle of the lineup there.
No doubt. In at 4, got to show some respect to the Orioles. Looking super, super good right now. I mean, I don't know. I still think that they need to make a move at the deadline. I mean, like, you got to go get an arm. Every single pod I listen to is talking about how they have the best system, like, that's been around in years. So, like, a lot of depth there. Don't know. I just can't picture Ohtani over there in Baltimore personally, but you never know. You never know. At least a guy like, I don't know, Dylan Cease seems to be a good fit over there. Like, you don't know what's going to happen, but the O's are definitely putting together, a nice strong run here.
It seems so unlikely that we see Ohtani go anywhere than one of the hugest markets. It just seems like that's where that's going to end up.
It's got to be a big market. Don't know does Ohtani seem like the kind of guy to you that's going to be cool with, like, going to a rental spot and then, I guess it's really not up to him on the initial trade, but, like, there's got to be some sort of conversations like that going on.
It might not be up to him per se, but again, like, these guys are human. Teams understand that there is a certain mindset that goes into a trade for a given player. So you don't really want an unhappy Ohtani coming to your team for a couple months, because that's probably not going to produce the best results. So you would think that teams and ownership are still taking that stuff into account, even if it's not literally blocking them legally.
Right. You would think that it's, I don't think he would be unhappy anywhere. I'm just talking more so the likelihood. I mean, as long as he's contending for a World Series or a playoff spot. Yeah. I'm just thinking more so like likelihood of re-signing. Like, do you do that for an Ohtani rental? Knowing that he's not likely to re-sign, in your city, right? Yeah. There's got to be some sort of indication there. Like, I don't know what the agent's role in that is, talking through it, but, like, hey, great. Like, Baltimore's having a great year this year. We don't know if he's going to want to play there. It's not a big enough market for him. Mm-hmm. Like, who knows what that is? And, it's part of the business of the game. So
it's way above my pay grade.
No doubt. Yeah. Major market for sure. Speaking of LA Dodgers, that's always kind of where I saw Ohtani ending up, even though I hate saying it. Part of me thinks that the Giants still have a chance. And I think we do. I think if we make a trade, we would be a team that has a good chance of re-signing him.
Yeah. And the West Coast has an advantage in general. Ohtani wanted to be on the West Coast to be as close to Japan as possible. So that is a legitimate factor. So it makes the Dodgers and the Giants both probably a little bit more appealing to him on a personal level.
Yep. Dodgers are playing good. I think I was taking a look at what they actually did to the Rangers this week. I wanted to see what that kind of looked like. Let me see here. So they had a series versus the Rangers. Was it a 4-game or a 3-game? 3-game. So Friday, Dodgers at Rangers. Dodgers won 11-5. Dodgers at Rangers. Dodgers won 16-3.
That was the big one. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously 11's a lot too, but yeah.
And then today, Texas got him 8-4. Okay. So almost could have gotten swept. Didn't quite get swept. That's still impressive to go into Texas. They're playing well right now, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Astros, what's the score in the A's game? But
it was 2-2 going into the 9th.
2-2 going into the 9th. Don't know if 6 is quite where they should be, but hey, they're hanging into that division without Yordan, so
yeah,
not too mad at it. Jays starting to turn things around. Giants probably won't be 8 after this week.
Yeah, that's a tough sweep against a mediocre team at best.
Yeah. I've always thought that they haven't been that bad. And, I really thought Logan Webb was going to bounce back. He dropped a -8 for me. And probably, like the top priority lineup that I had, basically based on like the Braves lineup. So I thought there was upside in the Braves stack. Didn't really see Freddie Peralta, Hauser, or Tehran being a big issue for the Braves, which they really weren't. Some solid performances there, but I wasn't scared of that.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently Webb hasn't done too well historically against the Nats. They run up his pitch count. I just saw him last game, how well he did against the Reds, and how fired up he was after giving up that game tying homer to India. He was pissed, and haven't seen him like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I was thinking he was going to be coming back with a vengeance, and it just kind of flopped. So he's like one of those guys. You don't see him too often with 2 bad starts in a row, just like kind of like a Gosman type of guy. But they got to him, and that happens in baseball. So Phillies and the Diamondbacks. Ooh, and then there's your Sox. Wow. And 11th. They got the whole division up there, huh? Except for the Yankees are probably...
The thing that's crazy about the Sox right now is that they've already been one of the better offenses in the league this year, and they now have both Jarren Duran and Tristan Casas hitting really well. And that's the kind of thing you look at, you look at Texas. Texas isn't in first place just because their stars are playing as well as they're playing. You need that, but you also need Ezekiel Duran playing as well as he's playing. You need what is it? Jankowski?
Jankowski, yeah.
Yeah, like there's 3 or 4 guys in the back half of that lineup that are overperforming. And right now for the Sox, that's Casas and Duran, where it's like 2 young guys. Casas is a rookie. Duran was a rookie last year. Tons of upside. Casas is a crazy power hitter. I mean, he hit 2 the other night off of Scherzer. No doubters. Duran, just crazy speed. So that's those are the difference makers, especially when you've got the main guys hitting as well. And Yoshida's doing that. Turner's having a crazy year. Justin Turner gives you a professional at bat, but he's doing a whole lot more than that this year. So they're a fun team to watch.
That's the one that felt like a pretty good fit, from the get-go.
Yeah.
I mean, that wall, the monster, Turner, I don't know. It just seemed right. They went from 17th to 11th. What's the update on Trevor Story? Are we going to see Marcelo Meyer this year?
I don't think Meyer is sniffing the Red Sox this year. Story could be anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks out. He is in Portland right now with a little rehab going on. Hit a home run his first night, 4Ks the second night. So we'll see how long that rehab takes, but should see him by the end of August, I would think, if not sooner. So that's pretty exciting because shortstop has been a huge pain point all year. And then it's just going to come down to pitching, man. I mean, Whitlock hurt, Sale hurt, Houck got hit in the face with a comebacker, hurt. Like, just
Bello had a kid. Bayo had a kid.
Yep. Bayo. So the offense is there. The defense has been meh. The bullpen's been solid, but the starting pitching is the biggest question mark, and health is the question.
Yeah. I mean, still a lot of time to play. It'll be fun to see.
They're right in the mix for that wild card, so no complaints.
Good point. Good points you make too with the bottom half of the lineup. Giants exact same way. So let's see here. Anybody? We'll round this up. I mean, we've already gotten through the top 10. Both of our teams are in there.
Corbin Burns. I'm just gonna keep yelling Corbin Burns. I've been yelling it all year. Dude's bouncing back to back big starts. Corbin Burns.
I was gonna mention that. I made a mental note of that this week. I forgot. I'm glad you brought it up. Yell at you. Called that early on when he was getting diced.
His last four,
he's looking Cy Young-ish.
His last 4 starts, so rare points, dating back to July 1st, 32.5, July 7th, 25.5, July 14th, 45, and July 20th, 46. He's had 7, 6, 13, and 10 Ks over those 4. He got a win in each one. So dude is red hot. He's not super cheap compared to the market, but I would say very affordable given Corbin Burns is a top 2, 3 pitcher in the MLB, still is. I mean, dude's nuts. Dude is nuts. He'll win you a week on his own.
Yep. That's a good guy to have on your stable. That's for sure. That's man, you got me thinking about it. Should have bought it earlier. But what else? Who do we got? I know Cease was dropping down a little bit too. Let's see.
Yeah, Ace. The Brewers already stated that they're not trading Burns.
Okay. Perfect. I mean, the Brewers are looking primed to win that division. You know, they're playing good baseball right now. So they swept the Reds at home. The Reds are on a 5-game win streak, but yeah.
That was what made it the GM came out and specifically stated that he's not trading Burns, which I just thought was such a funny thing to have to make a statement on for a team that's in first place. Why is a statement having to be no shit? You're not going to trade your best pitcher during a playoff run? Obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's
what are we playing for if you're going to trade that guy? I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah. At the same time, you know, I don't know how deep
I get that, but there's got to be some principle dictating decision. You're the first in your division. You don't trade your best pitcher. If the fans don't count for anything, then what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You don't trade your best pitcher when you're first place.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. I mean, put yourself in the seat of a Brewers fan. But
are we competing or not?
It also kind of goes to how much control you have left of them, how happy.
Yeah, I get it, but man, I'd be livid if that happened and I was part of that fan base.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree. Hey, the Twins at 16, Mariners at 17, Padres down at 18, Angels, Guardians.
Imagine Padres at 18. What a long fall.
Even worse, the Mets at 21.
Yeah, they're the 2 stories of the season for sure. It's crazy.
Unreal. Third story of the season. Yep. Third story of the season. I mean, that team, I don't know. You hear talk about the big guys getting traded there too. I don't see Arenado or Goldschmidt going anywhere, but you never know. They're selling for sure. So we will see.
I think Goldschmidt's a nice buy low and limited right now. I don't know what his rare card is, but
let me see.
He doesn't have the runs and the RBIs of late, but he's still hitting for average, still getting on base, and he's pretty affordable. That's the kind of card with, if he gets two hot weeks in a row, all of a sudden it's a $50 card.
It's tough at this point, though. 24 is actually not bad. 28 for Arenado.
The only thing that's tough about it, like we've talked about, is probably or definitely not going to be a playoff eligible card. So loses some value there, but there's still a lot of baseball season left. So
for sure. Yep. All right. Let's take a look at game week 33. and see what we got going. All right, game week 33. Let me see here. Here's the schedule. A couple of the top matchups. You want to take us away?
Yeah. Do you want me to do start with the 4 games and the 2 games?
Yeah, let's rock that.
So pretty unique one here. We've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 teams with 4 game weeks, and then we've got actually 6 teams with 2 game weeks. So you really want to avoid the 2 game weeks. When you're talking about a 50% on a not as horrible if it was in a 3, but
yeah,
you can go contrarian there, right? Whether you want to do a whole stack is probably overkill. And this was actually kind of something that you had touched on before. I think contrarian plays are healthy in doses. It's kind of like you're not going to win March Madness if you pick all 4 1 seeds to go to the Final Four, but you're also not going to win March Madness if you pick all 14 seeds to make it to the Final Four. So it's picking like a guy that has 2 games, and if he gets you 50, 60 points, then it could be that puzzle piece that not a whole lot of people play. I also think it'd be awesome if Sorare started to give us utilization rates. That would be awesome. So yeah, we've got Cleveland, Detroit, St. Louis, and Washington with 4 games each. Don't love Detroit, but the other 3 are all pretty intriguing. And then the 2 game teams are Atlanta, Boston, Miami, the Yankees, Oakland, and Tampa Bay. So there's some teams very much worth noting there. Atlanta, Boston, Tampa Bay, like there's a lot of guys that are getting used on a regular basis that become pretty tough to use in a 4 game week. So those are the ones to be aware of. And then I had highlighted my favorite matchups as definitely I like Cleveland. They've got 3 against KC plus a bonus game against the White Sox. Okay. So that's probably my favorite of the week. Although St. Louis with 3 against Arizona is pretty juicy, and then an extra game against the Cubbies. But Arizona, I also like in that matchup. They only have 3 games, but either side of Arizona, St. Louis, Colorado at Washington, Milwaukee versus Cincinnati, and San Diego right-handed bats versus Pittsburgh were the ones that stood out to me.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. Milwaukee, Cincinnati. I mean, they've been seeing a lot of each other lately. Both of those teams can hit. So expecting a high scoring series there for sure. Cleveland, man, I just wish I had more of a Cleveland roster. Like I had thought about stacking that at one point, didn't end up doing it. Let's take a look at what Naylor is going for. That might be something good to take a look at, but that's a solid breakdown. One of the things that came to mind too, when it comes to a potential strategy for those 2 game, there's a lot of people with 2 games. So when you compare 2 game to a 3 game, not nearly as bad as comparing 2 game to a 4 game. So if you don't have options on the 4, you're comparing the 2 games to a 3. So take a look at matchups. This is, I think, the time to, take the bet on the platoon guys, maybe. If there's left-handed pitching matchups or, a guy you think is going to play platoon for both games that week, or catchers too. So catchers get rest. They have some off days. Then you got the big bat in there, taking those, no rest days for the week. So, again, Murphy, Real Muto, guys like that. That's probably what I'm going to be looking at. And again, not my top priority lineups, but in those cases, yeah, I'm kind of liking that. 19 for Josh Naylor. Get out of here. That's nutty.
Yeah, it's a sell for me. If you happen to be holding him and he's there right now, that's for sure a sell.
Jeez, Josh Bell 339 on the other hand. Is that a buy for you or what? I mean, he's been playing.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what caliber of cards you're playing in your lineups, he is a guy that has hit for power. He's a guy that's hit for average. Yeah, that's probably a buy.
Who else do we got there? What's Ramirez at? 40, 45?
Yes. No, I think he's moved up
City.
50, yeah. And he's a good one if you've got a big collection. I was setting some of my lineups for tomorrow. Last night I was just fiddling with him, and he has not had the highest scores over the last 15 days. So he's kind of slipped down my rankings, and I almost missed him. And he's easily one of my favorite plays. 4-game week, three games against Kansas City. So love Jose Ramirez for game week 33.
Nice. In the chats, if you got anything that you want us to take a look at, shout it out, of course. I like those. I put together a couple of Quan, is he heating up? How's Quan been playing lately?
Here, I'll pull up.
Let's see here.
Pull up all the Cleveland hitters.
$10 for Quan, leadoff hitter, gonna score runs, might get you some bags, no power. I think he hit a home run the other day. Love when little Quan gets a home run, but interesting. Yeah, it could be a good. I mean, in a 4-game week, that's another one too. If you got 4 games, if you got a contact hitter, the singles, the runs, the doubles, the stolen bases, those can all add up. So, as opposed to a guy who needs to hit a home run, to get you some points and is going to have the strikeout risk, it's kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. Over the last 30 days, and this obviously you have to pull out the All-Star break, but last 30 days, top 6 hitters for Cleveland: Josh Naylor, 243 points; Jose Ramirez, 224; Ahmed Rosario, 196; Jimenez, 186; Quan, 175; and Bell, 155.
Rosario heating up is interesting. $6 for a Rosario. If you're a Cleveland guy, you like the Cleveland bats, that's matchup dependent for me. I'm not a guy like Rosario isn't going to be a top priority buy for me right now. But
if you wanted to start sneaky building the playoff stack, wait for Naylor to come back down to earth until you buy him. There's an angle.
Yep, I see it. Couple of guys on the pitching matchups for the week that I jotted down. Help me remember why it was that Cabrera in Miami was out of the rotation. He's been out of the rotation, right? Because he's back in. He's a $5 card. He's got high upside, big K rate guy, really nasty. He had control issues. That's one of them that jumped out at me, and I hadn't seen the name in a while. So if he's fixed something over the past couple months.
So he was on the IL for a month, it looks like.
Okay.
He returned from a month-long stint on the IL due to a shoulder impingement. He came back on July 18th.
Okay.
So,
Shoulders.
I don't know what a shoulder impingement is, but that's what he was dealing with.
Okay. Shoulder stuff, but definitely a high upside guy, a $5 arm. Erod is in there at 10, gonna be going to a contender. You gotta think that. Steele pitching this week, had a really good performance last week. Really dependable. Bradish at 6 and Tanner Bybee at 7. Big week. I know one of the guys in the Discord, big Tanner Bybee guy. $7 for a rookie. Probably doesn't have a whole ton of mint. Could be a playoff guy. That's going to be, could have some value and some upside to run up from $7. So those are 5 that I like. Yeah,
I still like Erod a lot. I mean, as a Sox fan, I saw him go on multiple stretches where just he really is a good pitcher when he's healthy and he's got his mechanics going. And we've seen that all year. And it's always promising when a guy comes back from injury and picks up where he left off. So he's pitching well, and I like, he's on the more expensive side of a budget pitcher, but I think that he's the kind of guy that could have some longevity of being worth owning.
Yep. Or you could think of him as a rental too.
Yeah.
Somebody, doesn't have him, sleeps on it, is going to want to play him in the playoffs. Maybe, if anything, you would like to think that it doesn't drop a whole ton, doesn't go through the floor.
Yep.
Maybe it just, somebody you buy play a couple starts, and who knows, maybe you sell him back for $8, maybe you could get 15. So I don't see a ton of downside to it. If you have that in the budget for a $10 arm. So, okay. Game week 34, and then we'll be off to Sunday Night Baseball. Who do we got in game week 34? You had highlighted a couple of yours, and I will maybe just read them off. These are your picks, but Oakland at Colorado, Dodgers versus Cincinnati, Minnesota at Kansas City, New York Mets versus Washington, Philly right-handed bats at Pittsburgh, and Seattle at Arizona, Toronto versus the LA Angels. Or a few of the ones that you had highlighted here.
Yep. Yeah. So it's the first team you stated is the one that I like. The only exception is Oakland at Colorado. I like both sides of that option. There are a lot of cheap options in there. Kind of a fun budget play. Games at the series is at Coors Field, and so obviously you're picking from scraps a little bit, but there's definitely a chance for some high scoring there.
Yep. Forgive me. You know what? Sorry, D-Ops. We'll talk about relievers for game week 34. We kind of skipped past it on the game week 33. I did want to bring that up, but totally forgot about it. Let's take a look at, I guess, those matchups that you were talking about. Let me see here. Oh, shoot. Share my screen.
And like a lot of what I highlight is the same every week. I talk about something a little different, like both sides of Oakland at Colorado and Toronto versus the Angels, a little bit off the beaten path, but really just want to make sure every week that people know, like, reminder, we're targeting Cincinnati, we're targeting Kansas City, we're targeting Washington, we're targeting Arizona. That's the same thing week in and week out. Colorado and Oakland are the same thing. They just happen to be facing each other this week. So they're not hot takes. It's just, weekly reminder of these are the guys to be paying attention to because they've got the weakest matchups.
CJ Cron has been a good one recently too. He's been banging, especially at home. I think he even hit a home run in Miami the other day too. But I was actually, what kind of got me sidetracked is I was looking at your pick, the right-handed bats versus it's right-handed. No, your Mets versus Washington pick. And after my Giants just got pretty much picked apart by the Nats, I'm like, are we still fading those arms? Like Mackenzie Gore looked really good recently. Patrick Corbin has been, shown some flashes. And then I guess the last one would be, Trevor Williams has kind of been getting lit up. So I do like that overall.
To me, it's like you can have a good series, but Washington pitching's been bad all year. So I'm going to need to see it for a longer stretch to feel differently about it. I mean, just bringing up team ERA, Washington is fourth. So you've got fourth worst. So in terms of what we're looking for here, the best teams to target worst ERAs in the league are Oakland 1, Colorado, Kansas City, Washington, Cincinnati, Arizona. That's your top 6. And it has been all year. Yes. So those are still the teams I'm looking at week in and week out.
Nice. Man, next Sunday we get another Jesus Luzardo had like 13 or 14 Ks today. That was one of the ones that we were kind of looking at last week as a potential good starter.
That's a fun matchup, Erod and Luzardo.
Yeah, that'd be a cool Sunday night baseball game. Who do we got Sunday night next week? New York at Baltimore. Could be cool. Man, I don't know. We're going to have a lot going on. The first is the trade deadline. So, I mean, it's going to be a fun show next week for sure.
Yep.
That is, man.
When is the trade deadline?
August 1st.
August 1st. Okay. So, so I think
maybe we don't get Erod Luzardo after all.
Yeah, right. And Hud's dog jumped in here at the top of the show, and he was saying before the show to just consider the fact that if you do have guys that you're submitting in lineups, and maybe not this game week coming up, but certainly thinking about it for next weekend. If a guy gets traded, he usually gets pulled from the lineup. There's, they're not going to risk injury in even a single game. So those are the goose eggs that could pop up into your lineup. So it's something to consider. If you have a guy that is being talked about, like an Erod, you got to start him with a grain of salt, knowing that you could get left with a goose egg in there.
Yeah, if I'm trading for Erod, there's no way I'm letting it get to Sunday, having him pitch that day, without having him shipped off. Man, who else in there then? That's a really good point to take a look at. I mean, from the pitching standpoint, Lorenzen is also one of them. Is he pitching this week though, is the question? No. So he's not. You don't have to worry about that. Let me see here. Giolito.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a big one. He's been striking out a lot of guys lately. Probably wouldn't throw him in there, but I did have him as highlighted as one of my main pitchers for this week. I'm going to take that back and not say that, but I will say that he is probably a pretty decent buy right now at $6.
Mm-hmm.
Just with his K rate and the fact that he's probably going to a contender. So, Giolito, Lance Lynn. He had a rough one this week, but he's still down around $3.
It's on this subject, but it's a little bit different. But just another little wrinkle of Sorare is that I have been kind of just going black and white with the starting pitcher projections, game week in and game week out. But I've started to take note of guys that are slated for the last game of a game week because it's the most volatile, right? You get one rain out, or you get some bump in the pitching rotation because somebody comes back in, whatever, any weird little thing that's unlikely to happen but could happen. The guy that's last is the guy that's most likely to get bumped. And so little stuff like that you don't usually have to think about with regular fantasy baseball because you're just swapping a guy in on a daily basis. That's the kind of thing where I'm considering it, right? It doesn't necessarily stop me from playing a guy, but it's the kind of thing that at least you have a little bit of better understanding of what the risks are associated with a given player.
Exactly. It's gotten me a couple times.
Me too.
So, that's a really good point. Glad you made it.
There's nothing worse than having a good lineup with a player that doesn't play.
That is, it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a punch to the gut after having such a good week. And it's nothing that you can control. I mean, it happens. As of recent, the most recent example was last week with the Bassett Gosman.
Yep.
So, guys who you spend your good money on, they're dependable guys. That last start of the week is definitely interesting. I mean, you could also kind of talk too. I mean, you had Pivetta going. It's kind of cool when he's going to come in from the bullpen.
Yeah.
When they have a bullpen game and that's an automatic relief appearance. So you don't even have to worry about the win. He could get a relief appearance and a win.
Yep.
And a guy like that has some good strikeout numbers. So
yeah, I mean, he had a 50-point performance when he came in and broke the Red Sox relief K record last week. So yeah, he's an interesting card for sure. Maybe you start him as a starting pitcher. Maybe you start him in the flex. I'm bummed that I was not, paying attention when they started releasing his relief pitcher cards at auction. Could have grabbed one of those. But yeah, I mean, perfect example of what we're talking about right here. And I showed this lineup last show, but my limited AL, I finished with, here we go. I didn't remember to go check McClanahan. He didn't play. I scored 241 points and ended up getting what was it? McCutcheon. He was like a $3 card. Just so brutal. It was a great lineup, not a podium lineup because of Jansen and Duran, but a great lineup that even 15, 20 points from a starting pitcher, bumps it up pretty significantly. So it's tough, man. You don't want to take those goose eggs. It's no good.
Let me see here. I want to do something. You probably already checked this, but I want to see what the next, there we go. The next start for McClanahan, 4 innings pitch, 5 earned. So,
yeah, he was bad this week.
Yeah,
he killed one of my lineups this week. I forget which one it was. Yeah, my pro here. This was a rough lineup. Totally wasted Ketel Marte and Jose Ramirez.
Yeah,
but Marte was the killer. But yeah, Doval, nothing. McClanahan, 7. Just total dud lineup. We both thought Arizona was primed for something, but only Marte got the memo.
I was, man. I put Gurriel in like my minors lineup just to switch it up a little bit. I had like won him last week or something like that, and I was like, oh, I kind of like that Gurriel. He looked good against Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
-2 on the week. So
Ace just said, don't forget to mint your free candy All-Star Game baseball, a chance to win World Series tickets.
Oh, let's go.
Out. And I know that we're right up against it here, but I wanted to just quickly show. I think that these are some of the coolest things that they have made so far.
Let's go.
This is a reward. You couldn't even buy these.
Oof.
Anybody that did code breakers, the first like 50 people, which was not me. I bought a pack off secondary and happened to rip an Ohtani. But I just think these look so damn cool. Yeah, they are like what I used to love about baseball cards as a kid, holographic. They've got the player that stands out. I love the alternate jersey. They've got the border there of the color of the team. Yeah, let's see. This is Acuna.
It's the last Ohtani candy digital card you'll see in an Angels uniform.
Probably. But yeah, so these were code breakers reward packs. They're all super low mint count out of 72. It was just like a top 50 players set. Grabbed a Devers too. Grabbed the number 4 Devers. So yeah, I didn't even get any of these free packs, and I don't think that these are really going to get used for anything. I just think that they're so friggin' cool. So I have bought a few, and I always love it when Candy puts out a cool new art design, and this is unlike anything we've really seen. Just a much more elaborate version of the Code Breakers cards that you use for the actual challenges themselves.
Those are sweet, man. Yep. They remind me of those 90s basketball cards I used to collect with the metallic reflectors on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Nice. Yeah, Candy, shout out Candy. They've been doing an awesome job like engaging the community this week too. I know they had some stuff going on recently. I forget where
the whole challenge system
All-Star Weekend. They crushed it All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, they did a ton of content, ton of social media stuff. And I just think that, as somebody that maybe a month or two ago was basically saying like, I don't really care about the challenges. They've grown on me. They've done a good job with it. They've implemented a lot of different angles. There's enough there that if you're paying attention on a low level for a very small amount of money / a very, modest collection, you can be getting the lower tier each month. So I've had fun with it. It's nothing crazy. It's still not as much fun as fantasy baseball, but I've got a pretty good sized collection. I still enjoy the product, and they like I said, they've come up with a range of big collections, small collections, and everything in between, different objectives. So I think that they're doing a good job with it. And at this point, I'm excited to see where it continues to develop to, because I think that it's been a good beta of a very new system.
Yeah, I like the direction that Candy is. I like what they're building over there. I always have.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun to see. It's been a fun season for them. Make sure to get your All-Star Game or mint your free All-Star Game baseball to win those World Series tickets. Do we know the deadline on that?
We got 7 days, 21 hours, and 54 minutes. So you just go to the drops tab and you just click get it now, and it'll just automatically mint it.
Perfect.
And they do stuff like this all the time. Like there was a rookie ball as well that was also free, and the baseball stuff is pretty cool.
Yeah, Super cool. I mean, their digital tickets are just, I mean, I love how they do those, man. They got to be doing those more. Oh, there's a rookie ball. Nice.
Rookie ball is pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, I mean, they just make really cool digital art.
Dude,
Bottom line.
So cool, man. That's sick.
Yeah.
Nice. Any pack breaks coming up?
I'm definitely overdue for another break. We had done a huge break with a lot of rookie packs a couple weeks ago, and everybody was a little fried after that. But we should have new products coming out pretty soon, which absolutely anytime there's new product, going to do some breaks. But I'll probably put together a mixer in the near future as well.
Sweet. Awesome. What else do we got? Anything else going down before we sign it off? I know the Sox got the Mets.
I'm going Sox. We got we got Carrasco and Bernie Bernardino.
Okay. I was gonna play devil's advocate and take the Sox and take the Mets, but I can't with Carrasco. That's it's like, yeah, Sox for the win. I'm gonna throw that on. Nothing better than watching some Sunday night baseball at Fenway.
Should be a good game. There's been some unity in the stands with the Yankee suck chants.
Nice.
What is it? The enemy, my enemy's enemy is my friend, kind of a deal.
Amazing.
So, yeah, Mets fans and Red Sox fans getting together at Fenway Park.
That's awesome. You'd love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Nate, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here as always. Thanks to the chats. It's been a blast. We'll be back next week with a lot of baseball news, the trade deadline. It's going to be insane this week. I can't wait to see what goes down. Going to set the tone for the rest of the season for sure. So we'll have a ton to talk about next Sunday here on the Weekly Walk-Off.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
See you later, guys.
See ya.